buddy. So, hola, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Strange. I'm your host, Dave Cruz. And with me is Jerry Cthulhu. Thank you for joining me, Jerry.
You're welcome.
It's an honor and a privilege, sir.
No, it's not. Don't lie.
I know I shouldn't. But this is one of those Beyond the Beyond Strange shows. Very glad that you all can be here today. We have a pretty good show. Got some crazy shit going on out there. But first, remember to subscribe and set your alerts to on. So anytime there is a show, last minute show, scheduled show, you will get those alerts and you will get those reminders to when the show is. So please do that. And remember to follow us on Twitter at Strange Days 2015. The hashtag is Beyonders or Beyond the Strange. I'm kind of switching it to Beyonders because it's shorter and I like that better. Sounds good. Right, Jerry? I think so.
Yeah, you could also go with just strangers.
Yeah, I like strangers. Strangers is I like Beyonders. Beyonders sounds like you're flying, doesn't it? Beyonders. Ooh.
We're tripping.
Tripping. That's another one. Mushrooms. Why do I always think of mushrooms and not LSD? Because I did both at one time. Probably TMI, but whatever.
No, it's not TMI. You did them both at the same time?
I have had done them twice at one time.
I don't know what that kind of experience would be like. Creepy, probably.
They might have canceled themselves out. I don't know.
I don't think so. You probably didn't take enough if you didn't feel anything.
It's probably true. Let me see. I'm going to see if my friend Rick is out there. Rick, hang on a second, buddy. I just got a text from you. But
Ricardo.
Yes. See if he joins the mini round table here. Anyways, so yeah, man. This is a very interesting show. We have some weird stuff happening out there, and I'm going to get right into it. And it has to do with sinkholes. It appears that,
not to be confused with front holes or back holes.
Front holes or back holes, we all have them. We all know where they're at. But no, it is not to be confused with that. These are like, I'm going to say them in meters. They're like 5 meters in diameter. Pretty damn big sinkholes. I had posted some pictures on the Beyond the Strange Facebook. And Suzanne, what's up?
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm okay. How about you?
I'm doing all right. We're in the middle of doing the show, or we just started actually. And we are talking about the sinkholes and all that stuff we talked about before.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Zoom, by the way, and we do have a Discord for Beyond the Strange, so please join Discord today and join the Beyonders chat Discord. If you need any help with that, you can reach me at Dave.
No, they won't need any help. If they need help, they shouldn't join.
Oh, Jerry, you're funny, man. I know you're serious.
I'm half serious. You don't want to be helping all these people. You have like 80 old women calling you, Dave, help me with my Discord.
That's so funny. It's like, oh my God.
You know it's true.
No, I know.
I have the shirt that says, "No, I will not fix your computer." It's kind of silly. I'm kidding.
I like the one.
Everybody email Dave. He's really helpful.
You can. I'll be as helpful as much as possible. But anyways, this sinkhole situation, guys, is really weird. Now I know there can be some logical explanations. And by the way, everybody, I apologize. The phone lines are not going to be open tonight. So the best I can do is I can get your comments in chat. I can get to them, and we can read them on the air and answer them to the best of our ability. So once again, I apologize. Phone lines are down today, but we'll get them back up in the future so you guys can call in and let us know what you think. What's happening with all of this stuff going on later on. So this report comes from, believe it or not, an actual newsworthy news source, KRON Channel 4. That's here in California in the Bay Area. Oh, you know what? That's actually the Ring of Fire, but we're going to get to that in a little bit. But these sinkholes have been happening like within like just the last few months. They go back a few years, but they seem like they've been accelerating. And like I was telling Jerry earlier, these things are like 5 meters in diameter. Thank you, Rick Sennett, for joining us.
How's it going, man?
Pretty good. I don't know if y'all know my friend Rick Sennett, but we have Suzanne with us tonight.
Hello.
Hi, Rick.
Also, we have Jerry Cthulhu. I don't know if you guys know each other.
Hello, sir.
Oh, hello. How's it going?
It goes.
Me and Rick go way back to the OG Fade or Not days. And
I'm sorry.
yeah.
That's where you and I met, actually.
See?
That's where I met James Cruz there.
Yep, James Cruz.
Les.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking way back in the cut.
3 years ago.
It feels like 30 almost.
It could be. We don't really know how time works.
That's right. Everyone's been hitting their vape, I can see. Thank goodness.
I need to be hitting something harder than my vape.
Actually, I'm coming off of mine.
Oh, you better get back on it.
Quantum Kush.
There you go.
I hate you, California people.
Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
Us West Coasters, who everybody loves to hate.
Yeah, Portland joined us just a while ago, too. So Portland came, I guess, look, we're getting off topic here. Now we're talking about cannabis.
Sorry.
Well, that's fine. It's always good to talk
We
about.
need a cannabis show.
We can do that. I know all 4 of us partake, so it's all good.
No, nobody partakes. That's in a non-legal state. Of course not.
Never.
Never. That would be illegal.
So I want to know about these sinkholes. I really don't know, other than the one that happened in LA, last year? When they had the big fire. Remember when they had the big fire down there? It was like the Thomas Aquino fire or something from that college.
The Satanist Aquino?
No, this is the father,
Michael
Aquino.
Aquinas.
Aquinas. Yeah, I knew I was saying it wrong. But it was called the Thomas Fire in Southern California, remember?
Do you remember what might have caused that? Was it like a gas line or something?
What started it? Well, they blamed it on a homeless person, of course.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it was right across from a Jesuit college. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I've put together with some of these different things that go on. Anyway, that's off topic. When they had that fire, there was they had a sinkhole in downtown LA, or right before the fire, right after. Remember, then it rained really hard, and the mudslides and all that.
When was this?
This was so the fires must have happened like in last December. And then it started raining like right away, or maybe they happened in November. It was really late in the year for a fire.
Yeah.
So anyway.
But the sinkholes in in Oklahoma, you gotta figure that's a state with a lot of fracking and a lot of oil wells.
Yeah,
I did
there's
notice
always.
Frackquakes kind of calmed down from like 2 years ago. If you remember, there were tons of quakes, like almost daily.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Frackquakes in Oklahoma.
I was going to mention that. As soon as you mentioned Oklahoma, I was going to say I remember all the earthquake alerts, all the red. There's like, I mean, that the whole state was painted in red from all the
Oh, from all
earthquakes.
the mini seismic activity.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of, if I remember correctly, part of what kind of helped that was switching over to filling it with water. The problem is they're using drinkable water, so we're losing, I don't know, so far like over 180 million gallons of potable water that will never be recovered because it's either contaminated or it's way too down and beneath the shale and can't be recovered.
Oh my
And
God.
that's
I
all
wonder
some
why
kind of chemical
this
in there
is.
too. It's not just water.
I wonder why this is why they're telling us we're running out of water.
Well, if you look at what oil tycoons have been investing in, it hasn't been oil. They've
No,
all
it's
been investing in
water.
water. Exactly.
Yeah, they're buying
Because only
up all the
2%
water
of the Earth,
rights.
Nestle too.
only 2% of the Earth's water is actually drinkable.
Yeah, but what about the
Only
sustainable water?
2%.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
in
A
its
lot of people
natural
don't.
form, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that only actually 2% of the Earth's water is actually drinkable. Because I mean, look at the Earth. How much of it is salt water?
It's
How
salt
much
water,
of it is
right?
frozen? And then how much of it is actually fresh water? And then out of that fresh water, how much of it's contaminated?
It's not
And also
contaminated.
how much of it is in an aquifer that you might not be able to get to? Because that's the big thing with Texas is a majority of their water is actually in aquifers unless they're off of a river. And the way the land rights go is you can have a giant aquifer that will go into like say 3 property lines, but whoever can drill it and drain it first wins. So they don't fit. That's the trick with the Texas aquifers. Something a lot of people don't know.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Did not know
So
that.
if you look at what they're buying and what they're investing in fresh water, and that's why you have this big push from people basically saying like water is not a human right.
Oh God. Hey, really quick, I just want to welcome Leonidas, King Leonidas, who goes by Leonidas. Thanks for joining us tonight, Leo.
Hey, what's up, man?
There he is. Yeah,
Hey, Leo.
Good to have you on, man. My friend Rick Sennett is joining us tonight. You know Rick, I mean, you know Jerry, you know Suzanne. So this is becoming quite a roundtable. I'm really appreciative to all of you. Thank you all for joining us.
Hey, no problem.
And really quick out to the chat room. I just joined the chat. I see Lee and Amanda. Baby Universe, what's up? Jack, Casey, Donnie. Man, we got a full house in the chat tonight.
Keep going, Amanda.
Amanda, yeah, of course. And
Never forget Amanda.
Jerry Cthulhu's in there. Oh, Jerry, sorry. But really glad that you guys made it, and really appreciate it. So this is Rick. From what we were talking about before, we talked about a lot of things, and when we were talking about this, fracking came up, obviously. But the spot that you were talking about that's running out of fresh water, that wasn't another country.
South Africa.
Is it South Africa?
Oh yeah,
South America.
No. South Africa, where they speak Afrikaans, Diantwoord, South Africa.
Because I found another sinkhole that happened somewhere in, I believe, in Mexico.
South Africa's the South American sinkhole. South Africa's problem is just severe drought. I mean, they're rationed to like 3 gallons of water a day, which is pretty dire if you consider a human needs to have at least a gallon to survive a day. So, yeah, a person getting limited to 3 gallons a day, that's pretty bad.
I'm looking for the sinkhole. And I'm not going to be able to share
I
videos.
had no idea it was so dire in South Africa.
Why can't you share
Yeah.
anything?
Is that where they're
I'll show
having
the video,
that?
but you won't get the sound.
The South American one, it drained the entire lake into some probably like some sort of pocket or something like that. But like I asked Dave, is what kind of industrial anything going on? Has there been any mining? Has there been any tunneling?
Yeah.
Somebody building something underground? Maybe somebody didn't really figure in how deep that lake was, and just didn't go under enough. You don't really know. And especially with South America, they don't have the same, like building standards or anything like that. So, I mean, not that something like that couldn't happen in a more developed country, but they don't have a good reputation.
Plus, they have all those
Mm.
big cave systems and what do they
Yeah.
call? They're like not Kanye's, but there's something like that. There's a specific name for them where
Yeah, that whole entire area is just riddled with
yeah,
and chasms
I think
and
there's a bunch of limestone down there too.
Mhm.
I wonder if South
Mhm.
Africa, if they're having problems because of all the gold mining too.
No, theirs is environmental overall. That's climate change.
That's the word that I was remembering that we were talking about was the climate change.
Yeah, South Africa's issue is drought, climate change, and all that. South America's that lake draining. I mean, just somebody pulled the cork.
Right.
I mean,
You
that's,
saw
oh,
that,
I saw
right?
the video. It was
Yeah.
insane. It's like somebody flushed a giant toilet.
It did. It
Yeah,
really did.
it's just like some colossal toilet.
And the one of the main reasons why we're having this show tonight about these sinkholes, not only the fact that this is happening more and more, but why it's happening. And again, climate change is one reason, and fracking is another reason. But there's also been, you mentioned, Rick, especially, and I'm glad you're on tonight, is watch who is buying up the land or something like that, and who's involved in the purchasing of this.
Yeah.
And seeing how this is all happening, and then where's the water? Who's I am I saying that right? Who's buying the water or who's selling the water?
Yeah. Well, basically, is look at who's buying what, and look who's buying water, and you'll notice that all of your oil tycoons, they're switching over to water. If you look at the land that they buy in Texas, there's nothing there except for an aquifer. But the way the Texas laws go, if you can tap into it and you can drain it out, it's yours. Whoever's got the biggest straw wins.
That's just not right, man. I mean, it reminds me of how Nestle bought, was selling water or something like. There's something big story with Nestle.
Yeah, Nestle, my favorite boycott. Yeah, you will not find a single Nestle product in my house. Basically, they were just going nuts, to be technical. They're going nuts, draining water from the Great Lakes, and basically all those states said, you're done. So they went across the border into Canada to start bottling at the source. They're straight up illegally bottling water to this day in California. But however, you can give like a cease and desist, like, hey, stop stealing our water. But what would happen if a bunch of like SWAT guys came in or whatever and just said, shut this down? People would flip out. However, you have people flipping out about them stealing the water. It's a no-win. I don't know. It's just like, I don't know, man. It's like watching a nerd fight in the hallway. Nobody's really going to do anything, but it's fun to watch.
My God, that's why I love having you on the show, Rick. You're
my analogies.
Your analogies crack me up, man. I mean, they're good too. I mean, that's a good way to put things.
No, but I mean, it's really it's it's kind of the template for the lack of better term, the libertarian format, and that's actually what's has bitten Alex Jones is the libertarian format that he absolutely loves. Bit him in the ass.
We're gonna get to that, and we are gonna get to that. I promise you. I know. I promised everybody an Alex Jones, an AJ, as I like to call him, because for whatever reason,
I like to call him Alex Jonestown.
Alex Jones. That's good too.
I stand on the guy.
But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get to that a little bit later on in the show. But I still think that there's a lot to cover on this problem, because it's not just the sinkholes that's happening here. We got also the Ring of Fire. I shared a video on the Facebook, the Beyond the Strange Facebook page, and it's not God, I hate it. I hate to say it. It's secure. It's just a secure team. Now, a lot of people don't subscribe or don't dig secure team videos or third phase. I don't even like bringing up those names, but I will say on this particular video, this guy made a lot of sense, about a lot of stuff is going on that people aren't really talking about very much. And we all know that there is a super volcano in Yellowstone, and it is, I mean, I don't even know how to describe what could happen besides death if that thing erupts, man. We're toast. We're just, we've had it. So you got the Ring of Fire earthquakes. You got all the sinkholes. Everything seems to be happening underground. Isn't that interesting? I find it very interesting, and I find it very coincidental that all of this is happening, and at the same time, we're getting seismic activity happening in Yellowstone as well. Jerry, you've been kind of quiet. Do you want to chime in on this or not? He's putting drops in his eyes. Leo, you want to chime in?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry, I've been having technical difficulties.
No
Yeah, I think like the earthquakes and stuff are basically, when you deal with solar activity and you deal with planets that are in retrograde and stuff, it puts more pressure on the Earth itself. And you can definitely tell like there's an emotional connection between what's going on in conjunction with the earthquakes. There's a lot of people who are more, I guess you could say, emotionally in tune with certain things. Depression and sadness and stuff. All that stuff seems to be compiling a lot lately. So not only are there earthquakes ramping up, but you have people's emotions are ramping up, and you have, of course, all the politics are ramping up, and of course, all the censorship is ramping up. So everything is ramping up pretty hard lately. So it's definitely going to be interesting. As far as like Yellowstone, yeah, if that thing goes, I think we're in trouble, but I don't think it wouldn't be right away. I mean, definitely the people who are within the vicinity of that particular area are going to be in real trouble. Of course, the biggest thing is, all the ash and stuff in the air. It's going to, blot out the sun, and it's definitely going to be affecting, the food supply as far as like plant life and stuff. But I mean, I don't know. I think the earthquakes will definitely ramp up, but I just don't see. I mean, there's a couple of sites online where you can actually watch like live information as far as like earthquakes and the magnitudes and stuff. But it seems to be along the general fault lines, the Ring of Fire, as you were saying. Those might ramp up. I don't, unless it's something that we trigger, which, through fracking and stuff, that we just really screw up and hit something big that just causes a chain reaction. I really don't see that thing going up anytime soon.
Well, the Ring of Fire, that type of earthquake with the fault lines and everything, that's much deeper into the crust than like the sinkholes. So I'm no geologist, but I'm wondering if you look at the shape and how deep the fracking is versus, like, say, San Andreas Fault or what have you. I wonder the depth differences. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I read somewhere like if the earthquakes, and I'm not sure how this works or whatnot, but like if you have like a dormant volcano, and you have specific earthquakes in the area, and like inside the actual chamber, there's a possibility that you could have a collapse or something like that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then what would that like? So, for instance, if they were fracking or anything, and they opened up like a specific chamber, that basically had caused a collapse, would that trigger something like a bigger tremor? Would that cause something like if you have a dormant volcano? Because I don't know, like underneath Yellowstone's, like I don't know, like do they have an idea of what the chambers look like underneath? Like if they use like any type of ground penetrating radar?
To be honest, I don't know enough about this subject to speak with any form of authority. I'll be
Well,
loud
none
on
of us
this.
do.
Well,
Honestly.
no. I'm just saying that anything that I say at this point, and Dave, you're going to laugh, dude, facts and bro science.
Oh, of course.
So, I mean, that's why I just want to stop myself and just let everybody know that anything that I say would be out of, like, I don't know, high school level science. But in theory, yeah, if you drain something, but you don't put anything back into it, you make a negative space and you could weaken the structure around it. But I mean, that's what my knowledge is. And from what I understand, that's why they're pumping our nice drinking water into their frack holes, if you will.
That goes for people too, by the way, not just the earth.
Right in the frack holes?
No, about taking and not replacing.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I know, like in this region, like Ohio Valley, there's a lot of caverns and different caves that they constantly find or discover that is kind of like interconnected with like the Mammoth Cave system, which is a huge underground cave system. I mean, it could quite possibly be that there's a lot of stuff underneath the ground, like as far as like hidden caverns and caves and stuff that we're just not aware of, and perhaps and I don't know if you guys done research as far as like where the sinkholes are happening. Like, are those relatively close to fracking locations, or is it just kind of like spontaneous, like just random?
Here's an interesting thing, Leo. It's around the world, and actually, I kind of wanted to go back into the chat room a little bit because some of our viewers right now, Lee Veltman, he made a comment earlier saying the Russian sinkholes might be linked to permafrost underground temperatures rising. Hypothetically, that could be that could be that
About it. It gets hotter as you go down.
No, I understand that, but there has been some. I know Lee's laughing, but there's also volcanoes and sinkholes happening in Hawaii, as of yesterday. Let me go ahead and.
I thought the Galactic Federation fixed all that.
The Galactic Federation.
Hawaii is a big volcano, Dave. Are you aware of that?
All islands
yes.
are.
Just to,
Right. The volcano in like in Hawaii, it's still raging, right? It's still going on.
I don't think it's
yeah.
raging, but you,
It's never
so,
really stopped. It's just not erupting at the moment.
yeah, I don't think the cone is falling in
It's sort of like
anymore.
oozing out.
Hey,
Well,
weren't the blue bird people from space supposed to save us or something?
That's what I was just talking about. The
Yeah,
Galactic
he was just
Federation.
That's yeah, galactic.
Galactic Federation, Blue Avians, yada yada.
Soyuz, locals.
But you got to think
So-
about where all there are lava tunnels from old volcanoes. You know, look at how many. If you just look at how many old volcanoes there are, just look on Google Earth. A lot of them aren't marked. Dutch Sense does a lot of them, and
We kind of
there's
live on a
lava
giant.
tubes.
We kind of live on a giant ball of lava. You would expect a lot of volcanoes.
Yeah, but I mean, there's been, lots of stuff. Look how we, when we're doing an archaeological site or something, they're digging all this, and they found Göbekli Tepe, right? It was all buried.
Tepe.
Thank you. So where did all that dirt come from? Like, you know what I mean? So there's been layers and layers of dirt. And that's why we keep, the farther down we go, the more we find other civilizations and stuff. What if, there's just shit down there that we don't even know about because we haven't.
That's a given.
Yeah. And so then, we put in pipe and we check the stability and all that, and it seems stable at the time. And then one little thing, like
deepest hole we've bored, I think, is in Russia, right? And how many miles was it? Like 6 miles, or was it
8 miles?
8 miles.
I think it's further than that though now. That's I don't know if that's really correct. That was the last thing I heard.
Did they pop out the other side of the flat Earth yet?
Humans have only ever drilled down. It's either 8 kilometers or 8 miles. I don't remember. Just call it 8 miles. That's the bigger.
Did I say feet? I meant miles.
Yeah. So no humans ever drilled past that or been past that, or we have no idea what the hell's below it.
Allegedly, that's what they could be telling us.
Well, I think one of the restrictions is, once they get so far down, it gets really hot, and I think, didn't it break like their equipment or their tools or something like that? Like they just couldn't get down any further because it was just so hot. Like the further you go down, the hotter it gets.
I couldn't tell you. I really don't know.
Or am I thinking of? Am I thinking of that movie? Am I thinking of that movie Armageddon? Is that what I'm thinking of?
Yeah,
where they drill into the asteroid.
You have too many movies in your head. I'm thinking
programming.
I've never heard this before, but okay.
Well, I do know that. I do know about the hole in Russia. Now, of course, you have the Mel's hole, which was never confirmed.
That's right.
Officially.
Yeah, Mel's Hole's in up here in Washington, supposedly.
Yep.
But nobody knows like exactly where it's at, though, right? No one's actually found it. Or did they like fill it up? Did they cover it?
Yeah, supposedly there's like a shed over it.
Oh.
Supposedly the military covered it up. That was like the last thing I read.
Yeah. Yeah, and Mel woke up missing teeth and all messed up in San Francisco when he came back from Australia, and a whole huge crazy story behind Mel's Hole. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And supposedly they found one very similar to it, and I think Arizona or New Mexico. I forgot which.
They're basically the same thing, so.
Yeah.
Well, we got this going back to the sinkholes. We do have another volcano erupting in Hawaii, and it talks about some extensive damage to the Jagger Museum. It talks about a barrage of seismic activity, and again, sinkholes. Florida is having sinkholes. It's all over the world. It just seems like there just seems to be a lot of this activity happening more and more.
Well, I know some of the sinkholes, like in China overseas and stuff, is just due to poor infrastructure. You know, dilapidated infrastructure just was poorly constructed and just collapses, into the ground.
And Florida's basically just a sandbar,
Yeah.
which they built buildings on.
Florida's messed up.
And it stinks. It's a smelly.
Yeah, anytime you build stuff like on sand, unfortunately, it tends to like shift and.
Yeah, what kind of sandcastles are standing right now, huh?
Well, a majority of the Gulf states had poor city planning and all that. For example, Houston had zero city planning, and that's why they get flooded all the time. Because they paved over anything and everything that would either disperse the water in some way, shape, or form, and next thing you know, they're hopping on a kayak and getting home.
Interesting.
So, that's common to the Gulf states, it seems like.
Here's another interesting comment in the YouTube chat here from Jack. He says, "What about dams? Could they add to the drought effect by restricting the waters from naturally replenishing the earth?" I remember a while back ago when I was talking with Brad Olson, he made a comment about how the fracking and oil drilling and mining, is it possible I know it may sound weird, but to me it kind of makes sense how a lot of people say Mother Earth, as Earth as a living organism. What if all this oil that we're drilling is kind of like what blood is to us, oil is to the planet? That's just something that came to my mind.
I've had that thought. We've talked about it before.
Yeah, and I remember Brad Olson brought it up, and I'm like, that sounds really.
Take it even a step further. What if petroleum is Earth's natural black goo?
Yeah.
And whatever, if that's even true, is down in the Falkland Islands is some kind of alien black goo.
Another comment in the chat, really quick, Leo, before I'll let you go here. Before I let you say your comment, Cherie talks about one that's close to me in Moraga, California. This was 2 years ago. We had a bunch of loud booms, and that's another thing that's been on the internet, is these loud booms that we hear, and then sometimes things like sinkholes or other mysterious phenomenon happens after that. And this happened here in California 2 years ago, very close to me. So that's another thing that's could it be the drilling?
You got to look and see if there's gas or the natural gas wells around there. The big booms could be natural gas if they blow apart one of the pipelines or something. There are natural gas pipelines all over California.
Yeah, Donnie in Alaska says the same thing about the Earth's blood is it could be the petroleum or the oil, like what we're talking about. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Leo. You wanted to chime in.
Wait, but you just totally went over my point.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I think it's an important point. I look to see where all the gas lines are and where they have the big tanks where they store, because they store natural gas. We sell it to China and other countries. And there's a bunch of them along the coast where they have these big storage facilities. And it all gets
We are the largest energy supplier right now. Bigger than Saudi Arabia even.
And they keep getting more and more oil. So like it's replenishing itself. It's not running out. That's why I have a hard time with, they told us it was from the dinosaurs and blah, blah, blah. But I think we need to figure out like where these sinkholes are happening. Like Leo said, or somebody said, what is the infrastructure? Maybe Rick. What's the infrastructure around it? Like what, you got to look at oil wells, natural gas pipelines. Never mind. I have a thing about
You're absolutely right, Suzanne.
I have a thing about that.
That's a very good point.
ranch, that Skinwalker Ranch,
Mhm.
there's natural gas all around there and pipes and stuff. So what if weird phenomenon happens around that kind of stuff?
Wasn't that one of the big time Illuminati people, rich guys that bought that up?
Oh, he was
Skinwalker
some
Ranch?
aerospace guy. Big,
Elon Musk.
Biggs. No, it
Oh
was
no,
Biggs.
no, it's
Bigelow,
Bigelow.
Robert
Yeah,
Bigelow.
I was close.
played by Elon Musk.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead. I
Played-
just had to make that
played.
point because I
But
don't
you're
think people realize. And it's just like, Dave, when I was telling you, when your power goes out, people, because California, PG&E started telling people they were going to start turning off power when it's high fire danger. And people who, or there were fires, and people who were or weren't anywhere near the fires, their power went out and they're complaining. Well, you have to go actually onto PG&E's website or whatever your power company is, and you can see where you can trace to what power stations you are connected to. So like here in Davis, we're connected to like North San Francisco, and I can pinpoint like, okay, if that place is out, and we're gonna have a problem until they can switch you over to another thing. But anyway, that's beside the whole point. But I think it's important for people to know that, especially with all the fear porn they're streaming in about turning off power and all that.
or taking the power grid out too, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's something to think about.
Well, it's
It's
just an
definitely
important
something
tool
about.
to know. So it's one more
Well,
tool in your
I was
toolbox.
just gonna like the oil thing is interesting because when you talk about, we know that oil doesn't mix well with water. So when you drill the oil and extract it, you're causing displacement underground. If you take the oil out, then it gets filled with something else. So if you have underground water and stuff, that stuff can kind of move around and stuff. As you're extracting the oil. So yeah, it could have a direct effect or in direct correlation to that for sure. As far as like tapping into the reserves and stuff that's underground, because once you extract the oil, I mean, what's going to take its place? So you have that flow of energy. You have that the oil that gets extracted, and then you could have water that basically slowly gets displaced from one point to another, which causes that the original location where the water was could cause stress on the land above or whatnot, and it could weaken the soil, and you could have a collapse.
Yep, that's a good point. These are all good points. I mean, this definitely what we need to do is analyze it more, research it more, because it's becoming more and more frequent. I don't feel that mainstream media is covering like they should. Another point I wanted to bring up is when people do start to let's take the was it the North Dakota pipeline, the Standing Rock,
Yes.
that people were protesting, and they were protesting peacefully. You saw the video on Facebook. This is where Facebook actually did something right. They allowed these people to video tape, or I don't know, videotape, but they allow live feed at the Standing Rock while they were getting blasted with water, hit with rubber bullets, and you could plainly see that no, they didn't. They were in the way. They didn't want this to happen because of the repercussions it was going to happen. That was going to happen on our environment. And I hate to say it, Rick, but I think Obama just took a little too long to step in on that, and I don't even remember if he did or not.
Yeah, he kind of dragged his feet.
Right.
Hey, yeah, he wasn't quite the golden boy, but yeah, he did drag his feet a little bit on that, and part of what held up that pipeline coming from Canada going down was typical pork barrel politics, where it's like, I sneak this crap in and you let me. It's just a ridiculous way of doing politics. But that caused problems. I mean, the whole entire pipeline thing was a mess from front to back. But the thing, I forgot exactly what Obama's take was with it going through Native American land, because something that European culture doesn't quite get. Native Americans, they don't move cemeteries to put up, malls. They don't just like sell the land, move the bodies and the headstones, and then put up, a park and ride station or something like that. So
Do you think that all
there's
of
also like
them?
a cultural issue as well.
Isn't it true that like all of them live on ancient Indian burial grounds? For real? I mean, they do.
They all
If they
do.
never move, right? Exactly. They just kind of bury their dead right around them.
Well, think about it, man. Maybe every place we walk around is an ancient burial ground.
Oh,
It's
every
gotta be.
day, every step you take is on someone who's dead.
Right.
If you look at the course of Earth's history, something has died on every square inch of dry land, and not so dry land. It's just the way it is.
Everywhere. It's not the ocean probably has more churn than the surface, but that's just visible.
Yeah.
Think about all the things, and it's this is what trips me out. If you think about like all the what were we talking about, Suzanne? Something. It was like all the filet of fish sandwiches that are sold in one day. It's like 1 million, right? And then all that fish had to come out of the ocean to make those, and that's just one day.
Yeah.
So it's really big, the ocean.
Really?
Yeah,
big.
but a lot of that fish is farmed. So
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Not McDonald's.
really,
They're rocking wild caught,
oh wow,
like Atlantic cod and all
Yep.
that.
They have an actual ship that I don't know if they own it or rent it, whatever. It has like 4,000 people on it. It's basically a fishery on water. So they catch fish, they process it, and freeze the blocks right there on the boat.
Then they need to get their money back because their fish fillet sandwiches suck. I had
Compared to everyone else's, they're not bad. The
Yeah.
sandwich sucks. The fish is good though.
Yeah, I had one that was really good, and another one that was just, that's right.
just depends on which McDonald's you go to.
Yeah,
Wendy's usually has the best, but they only have it during Lent.
I try not to eat that poison, but
We're not as righteous as you, dude.
it's all right. I had Taco Bell yesterday, so
Seafood's fine to
Taco
eat. There's
Bell,
no radiation in there.
Balls are good.
well they have the new double decker cheesy gordita crunch, and it's interesting. Like, not to get off tangent or anything, but it's amazing to me how they take the same ingredients and they can conjure up something completely different on the menu, and people buy into it. It's like, let's just move the meat around in this location. Let's put the beef behind the shell, and then let's call it something else.
No,
You need to listen to Kathleen Madigan's thing about Taco Bell. She talks.
gotta
That's
listen.
exactly what she says. She's like, they take the same ingredients and then rename it, and it's goddamn delicious. She's like, and
Taco
it's
Bell's ran
69
by a bunch
cents.
of donors on a budget. That's how they get their menus. Is a bunch of
Yeah, I mean, it's smart.
donors.
I mean, it's smart.
Yeah.
Give them that.
It's not smart. It's efficient.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very
that's better.
efficient.
Jim Gaffigan has a great one about Mexican food in general, about how they all came up with recipes for all the stuff. It's real. I'll try and find it. It's pretty funny.
That is funny.
Everything in a
How about
tortilla.
how about we get a tortilla, we put meat and beans in it, roll it, and deep fry it. Put cheese and sauce. Oh, awesome. Call it a flauta. Okay. How about we take it?
Mexican food is the only food that I don't have to say don't put this or hold that or anything like that. Just straight up, just exactly how it is. The only food that I can, that and sushi. I have to. Those are the only two that I can do that with.
And now we're back to seafood. Don't touch it.
And my phobia of mayonnaise.
Yeah. I think Fukushima radiation's fake news.
I do too. So does Steve, and he was on a nuclear submarine.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Fear porn.
yeah.
So speaking of fake news, just kidding. No, the whole yeah, I'm definitely gonna get more research, more material about these sinkholes. I'm gonna follow up on this and keep everyone updated because again, I don't think this is something that's gonna go away. I think it's gonna get worse. Could be because of climate change, Rick. It could be because of a lot of different things. But what I like about what you said was follow the paper trail, follow the money, look where the big corporations are at, that sort of thing. The bottom line is we're screwing our planet. That's our planet's getting screwed up somehow by somebody or some way, and we're the ones that are taking.
Can you prove that statement? Seriously, I mean, how is it getting screwed up?
I know.
Everyone says that. Everyone bitches about that, but no one comes up with any proof that it's happening. Yeah, well, there are crazy
the people
places.
who come up with the proof are the ones who are disappearing or dying all of a sudden, and I don't want to be one of those people, Jerry.
I understand, but that's a red flag on the play right there,
Yeah.
No, well, I mean, we do know.
Not for you. I'm saying in general.
We do know that weather modification is a real thing. I mean, you can go to Cornell Law School right now, look up U.S. Code Section 15, Chapter 9A. It has the definitions, report requirement, duties of secretary, authority, all that stuff is in the U.S. Code. So we know that they do have the technology to do that.
They've had it since Vietnam.
Right. They've had it for a long time. But so the question isn't, can they modify the weather or not? Yes, of course they can. They have for a long time. The question is, what are they trying to accomplish? That's in my opinion, that's the big secret. Is it because they know something that they're hiding from us? And this all ties into, of course, bigger conspiracy theories like Nibiru and all this other stuff. Is that soft disclosure? Is this something that when you tie into like the chemtrails and stuff? Is it a way to mask stuff we're actually seeing in the sky? Is there really something beyond that? I mean, there's all kinds of things that can tie into that.
Well, the first reports of climate change are 106 years old. March 19th, Popular Mechanics, 1912 was actually the first report of climate change. So they've known about that for a while as well. Just there's a lot of money wrapped up in fossil fuels.
How much data did they have back in 1904?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
To actually make a prediction or measurement to say, oh, it's changing. The planet's 4 billion years old. 100 years of data is nothing.
Yeah.
That's true, but I mean, I completely agree with you on that. But you can see it. Like every time summer comes around, at least from my perspective, it gets hotter. The winters get, it gets more intense. The weather, the tornadoes, everything seems to be getting more amplified. The earthquakes, all that stuff. So we're definitely seeing a change.
No argument there, but you can't pin it back and say it's because of fossil fuels.
Well, that's true. I mean, we can be in a completely natural phase.
Exactly.
We don't know.
Exactly. And us, by anyone modifying the environment because they think it's changing because of us, could do actual harm to it.
Yes, you are correct. And that's another thing that's scary because, that could very well be. This could be a natural cycle and they're trying to prevent it. And then you disrupt that and you just cause, a cascade of shit.
Right.
Interesting comments. I'm really digging the comments. Really digging the comments in chat, everyone. Thank you so much for contributing. And I definitely agree with you, Alien Girl, that people don't read labels no matter what. I mean, some do, and I think a lot more people are starting to. But the truth is what they put in our food, and anyways, that's definitely another
Yeah,
show.
but California's labeling rules are pretty draconian and not actually accurate. Sometimes, I should say, sometimes.
California's so messed up, man. I mean, anyways, I don't even get started on California.
I wouldn't be worried about the California label so much as the bill that went through Congress last year or the year before that allowed companies to not mark things as GMO. Like not be forced to.
Well,
So
no, I agree. I mean, all of that needs to be marked and needs to be labeled.
Not anymore. It can't be because it's not legal. And there's no legal requirement to do it now. Put it that way.
You talking about ingredients for food?
Yeah.
Well, I know it's like you can put like I don't know the specifics, but companies can put natural ingredients, and that can basically mean freaking anything. It could be something that naturally slid into the freaking bucket when they were processing it, you know? And it wasn't until, disclosure of trans fats, which I don't know if you guys remember. You remember those WOW chips back in the day? That
Olestra,
yes. I was a kid when that came out, and my mom used to buy them, and it tastes just like potato chips, except it caused your bowels to leak like clear fluid. It was very weird.
Yeah, no, but it tells you that on the label. It may cause that kind of reaction.
Right. So I mean, trans fats. There are a few studies that link trans fats to cardiovascular disease. When you look at, like, for instance, like dairy products and stuff that is homogenized, that those type of processes that the dairy and the milk and everything goes under is linked to all those different cardiac diseases and all that stuff. So
milk's horrible for you.
Well, I would say, like, I don't know if you ever had like farm fresh milk, like straight from the cow. I was fortunate enough growing up. I actually had to go out and milk the cows myself when I was a kid. But yeah, unless you're like allergic to it or lactose tolerant, I think it's good for you. Now, the only reason why milk is homogenized is because it separates the cream from the milk. So if you get non-homogenized milk, which they actually sell in certain stores, when you pour your milk out, you just have lumps of cream that come out. And people they tend to, they don't like that. So
no, I wouldn't think they would.
But I mean, back in the day, it's like, that you filtered that, you run it through a filter, you collect the cream, and you use the cream to make other food items. But nowadays, I mean, if you can imagine, like, the younger generation, if they had some milk and they poured that stuff out and they started seeing lumps coming out, they'd freak out. They'd throw it away.
Yeah, it's really weird. I for the longest time, I know you can call me whatever you want, Coffee Mate and those kind of creamers. Always wondered, why are they packaged? Why aren't they refrigerated? And soy product, non-dairy, says right on there. And that, after I stopped drinking that stuff, I didn't realize how bad that stuff really is for you.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot worse for men, for sure.
Yeah. And I'm totally. They have a new one called Bliss or something like that, where it's half milk and half cream, but it has to be refrigerated. So a lot of people now that ask about coffee, creamer, or this and that, it's the real stuff is refrigerated. The other stuff can probably stand time. The test of time.
That's because there's nothing dairy in there. Maybe there was some additive at one time.
No, you're right.
Hydrogenated, some kind of oil, palm oil.
Yes, it's all bad. That's all I can say.
Greases your colon.
Yes.
Well, I know the newest, like as far as like food news and stuff is, coconut oil is a complete poison now. There was an article came out, and I can't remember who it was. It was it a scientist or someone said that coconut oil was complete poison for your body.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that it actually clogs your arteries and stuff, which I don't know if you ever actually used coconut oil or have had it before. It does solidify when you're in room temperature. When you put it in a cabinet, it does solidify. But if you ever put it on your finger or touch it, it instantly melts. Like it turns into liquid right away. And that's on the surface of your skin.
Yeah.
I've used it for a long time, like for frying stuff occasionally. And I get blood work done every single year. And it has not done anything to my bad cholesterol.
Which oil?
Coconut.
Coconut. Oh, are you talking about that pure poison statement?
Yes.
That's bullshit. That was
Right.
a professor, I forget where it was, somewhere in Germany, that she said on video that someone translated to that. And it was, if you look at the whole context of it, she was comparing it to like squirt of lemon juice or something. Compared to using a squirt of lemon juice.
Coconut oil has a higher percentage of saturated fats in
Sure.
it. I agree. However, saturated fats are actually very, very good for your brain.
Right.
And you really need it. But
so that's just the whole cholesterol thing. That's why statins are bad.
Cholesterol, yeah. But the thing is, like I was saying, like I've used coconut oil for a long time. When I get blood work done, I don't see any negative impact.
Yeah, and I use olive oil my whole life, and last time I had my cholesterol checked was 128. So
I like the comment. Jack chimes in the chat. Remember when lard was the thing for cooking?
What do you mean?
Yes.
What do you mean when? It still is.
Oh yeah, it's still good. Absolutely.
I would venture a guess that almost all pinto frijoles in Mexican restaurants are cooked with lard.
Do they still make those
Probably.
bricks that they had at the store?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's a useful fat, lipid.
Interesting.
What, Crisco is the oil of the earth?
Crisco is the oil of the earth.
Now, hydrogenated oils are definitely very bad for you, for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Stuff like margarine, stuff like that, I would definitely avoid. If you're going to, you might as well just use just regular butter. Go to a store and find butter where it has 3 ingredients. It's cream, salt, and
love. There's no other ingredient.
It's got love. That's all it needs. No, but you're right, Leo.
You can get organic butter everywhere. You buy Irish butter is really good too. Same kind of thing.
Well, I buy
Irish butter.
The rolled butter from the Amish here. It's
Ooh.
pretty good.
Also good. Plus, you're getting local. Buying local is also good because you get better your nutrient absorption's better if you eat the foods that grow near where you live.
Yeah, it's like with honey.
Exactly.
And allergies.
Allergies.
Exactly. Yeah.
Allergies,
So one thing I developed some really bad hay fever when I was in Colorado one year. It was really, really bad. Like I took Benadryl and stuff. It didn't help. But what I did was I got some local honey in the local area, and I think it was clover. And I started taking that. I just put it in my coffee because I drink just plain black coffee. I don't add any sugar or anything. And I would probably say like within a month or two, the following summer and the summers after that, I didn't have any allergies whatsoever. So I think it definitely helps in that regard.
I stopped going outside. That totally helped.
Well, that helps too. But when you work outside, it's a little bit more difficult to.
Yeah, you kind of don't have a choice.
Right.
I mean, you do, but you want to. I don't even know anymore. I mean, it just seems like everything is bad for you, no matter where you step. You know, you're gonna get hurt. You know, it's
that's why. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't worry about it.
Right.
I mean, seriously, don't worry about it. I mean, I've met people who are in the 90s who drink, smoke, and eat everything terrible for you, and they're just fine. They have no problems whatsoever.
I was gonna say I have friends back from the 80s I know that did the same thing, and now they're dead. I'm not laughing at them dying.
I mean, it could be a generation. You know, people who are in their 80s and 90s, they come from a different generation where most of the food they ate when they were younger was farm raised. You know, so if you compare that between our generation, you know, and we were, you know, 80s kids, 70s kids and stuff. So we were in that period of all the processed foods. You know, especially if you lived in an urban area. You know, I was lucky and fortunate enough, you know, to have, you know, family farms and stuff. So I was raised on, you know, fresh bacon and fresh everything, milk, all that good stuff.
Oh no, that's all good, man. That's definitely all good. That's what you want right there is fresh.
And I try to go, and I try to go to local farmers markets and stuff and try to get as much local stuff as I can. Of course, you're not going to find everything, but I try to find, you know, at least the meats in the produce for sure.
But don't forget. I mean, even though you're eating organic or or home or locally grown or whatever, there's always that chance again, and it's very rare that you get a recall because of E. coli or something like that. I'm starting to wonder if that shit's on purpose. Excuse my French. It's I mean, like, sabotage, but again,
I don't think it is. I think it's just more of people are just
neglect.
They just don't wash their hands anymore. I mean, we had a hepatitis A outbreak here locally, all over the place.
Oh God.
And the only way that's passed is through feces.
Right.
People just don't wash their damn hands anymore, and people are just nasty. I think that's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, I hate to say it, but where I work at, and it's not like a food service or nothing like that, but I'm in the bathroom and I know the guy, or you hear the guy leave the stall, and he just takes off. He doesn't. You don't have washing hands or anything. It's like I'm not shaking. Stuff. I am not shaking hands with anyone at work anymore. I'm going to bow from now on, or whatever. Acknowledge.
I carry
not even a fist
where I go,
dude. I mean, sorry, you're not getting a fist bump.
And I don't do potlucks either. I'm sorry. If I can't like inspect your kitchen, I'm not eating your damn food. When they have like work potlucks and stuff, like, because I've seen some, like, I've been to potlucks before, and people bring in food, and then I go over their house, and I'm like, oh my God, there's no way in hell I'm ever eating their food again. That's just disgusting.
Oh yeah, definitely. Hey, right now is a good time to mention that we are starting a new YouTube channel, and for everyone listening right now, whether it's on YouTube or on the podcast later from Spreaker and iTunes and Google Play and Stitcher, you can find Beyond the Strange episodes on there. That we have a new channel on YouTube, and it's a collective. The name of the channel is Shadow Travelers, and that is made up of Beyond the Strange, Nox Mente, and also Trisha G's numerologist channel as of right now, but we're going to be adding more shows to it. Suzanne is going to be having a show. Leo's going to be bringing a show. And it's really cool. And then we're going to bring original content. I'm planning on doing a new Friday night show on there as well, and it will be streaming right to the new channel. It'll be a later night show, so a lot of you night owls will definitely love that. So definitely keeping the updates on. Jerry, is there's a web page yet for the channel, or where can people learn more about it?
You can go to shadowtravelers.com, or you can go to the YouTube channel, which I just posted in the chat.
And please subscribe. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that word, or follow or like, but
subscriber will go to Patreon.
We don't want to do that. So please subscribe, set your alerts and reminders, and you will see that there will be new content coming very soon. Just like we don't like to use the word network, because that's not what we're about. We want
affiliation.
different. It is a collective, if you will,
but not in the AI Borg way. It's a loose affiliation of people we like.
Exactly, and you guys will like it too. You're gonna love the content. Jerry's also working on a Discord channel for that as well, so everyone can hang out there in the chat. You guys gotta get Discord. Get into Jerry's Noxmente, or even the Hive, or
no, I'm gonna close
Suzanne.
That.
Are you gonna close the Hive? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to see it go, but you have your reasons. Leo has a channel right now. We'll get to all that towards the end of the show, but again, I just want to mention that we are definitely being progressive in this platform while we have it, which leads me to my last topic, and we're not going to spend too much time on it, but like I said, I did promise an Alex Jones show a couple weeks ago, but couldn't do it due to other things I had to do. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. Alex Jones was taken off Facebook, taken off different was I supposed to read
deplatformed? He was deplatformed.
He was deplatformed. He was thrown off of his throne, and a lot of people. There's a lot of mixed feelings about that. A lot of people think it's great. A lot of people don't like that, and I feel because I have to have a side. My side is this. This is my opinion. Did Alex Jones use hate speech? He could have, but everyone has their own definition of hate speech. I know a lot of people are not going to agree with that, but I'm not going to agree with you either. And so that's where it stands. We all just got to look at the commonality. What is it about this situation that affects all of us? Not just him, not just you, but all of us. And I still think that it's starting to infringe on our First Amendment rights. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that. That's okay. That's what this is about. Everyone has an opinion, and everyone's entitled to that. When you start getting shut down like that, now Facebook has the right to do that. YouTube has the right to do that. And again, I'm not an Alex Jones supporter by no means. I don't really even listen to his show. But the fact that he's getting kicked off has been leading to other YouTubers, other podcasts getting shut down. I mean, I don't know if anyone noticed that does a podcast or does anything similar to that, but there were new privacy laws in effect this year. I haven't seen since I've been doing this show, and it does seem to stem a lot from now that the whole Trump and collusion cases with Russia has been happening here. So what's going on? Something's definitely going on, and I'm going to go ahead and let Rick chime in on this, because we talk a lot about this off the air. We don't really bring this up in other platforms, but right now I think is a good time to go ahead and talk about it. And Rick, by all means, man, you have a right to your opinion. I would like to know what you think.
Okay, well, first off, facts. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, they're privately held companies. They are not a utility. So they're a privately held company, and you're bound by terms of service. If a person violates the terms of service, you're gone. It's pretty much cut and dry. Now, the way that you could assure that everybody has equal voice is if you have, say, one of these social media platforms become a utility, then it's considered part of the government, and the government basically says, no, you can't kick this person off for saying X, Y, Z, because they have the freedom of speech, and as long as they adhere to FCC regulations, then they'd be able to stay on. Alex Jones is still on his own private website. Anybody that goes to Alex Jones's website can still grab out all that stuff. And so to me, it's pretty cut and dry. If you don't want people to get deplatformed and stuff like that, then you have to get away from privatized social media. And therein lies the double-edged sword. And that's pretty much what it comes down to, in my opinion.
Government involvement's the last thing anybody wants. If they do deem it a utility, then we will be under the restrictions of FCC.
Absolutely.
Compliance. And that's the last thing I want.
Then here's what it comes down to. Pick your poison, because you can't have it both ways. You can either have privatized, or you can have something that's regulated by the FCC guidelines.
I got something even better.
You can either have one or the other, but you can't have both.
I disagree.
Hold on. One at a time. One at a time.
How about a decentralized platform?
Well, Alex Jones has that with his website.
He does.
I'm talking about a pure decentralized content delivery system.
Yes, it's called the internet. It's his website.
But again, the Facebook thing that happened, I know it's Facebook and YouTube. Actually, the Twitter, the chairman, or was it the CEO or whatever, mentioned it. He said that he didn't have a problem with Alex Jones, and therefore he didn't. That's why he didn't kick him off.
It wasn't about what he was saying. It was about hate speech and this magic wand of hate speech that can be expanded or contracted at will, depending on who's applying the restriction. That's
why I said at the beginning of this conversation that hate speech it's like beauty's in the eye of the beholder. What is hate speech? What exactly is it? Is it a direct threat to somebody, or is it somebody's opinion of something? If we can't tell or say our opinions, then what the hell? That's where I'm confused about.
That's why they had to label it separately, though. Mm-hmm. Because if all speech is free, then there's no such thing as hate speech, which is the way it is. So if they label it as something which is now illegal, they're limiting your free speech because someone felt offended.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see, like, even if you have a website, that's still not decentralized because you technically do not own the domain name. You lease it, right? And if you fail to I mean, there's terms and agreements with domain names as well. I mean, you can have your domain revoked and restricted and seized and stuff. I've seen it happen before. Because I run a hosting company and I've had to deal with those type of cases with ICANN and stuff. But what I'm talking about is a pure decentralized system. And without getting into the nitty gritty and that stuff, I think that's where that is going to basically, you're going to have like a peer-to-peer decentralized system for content delivery and stuff, so people can post videos and their content and stuff without the terms and service, requirements. And I do agree with you. It is a private platform. It is managed by terms and service and all that stuff. However, I mean, isn't that part of the problem that we're in? Is when you have these companies like Google and Facebook, it seems like their policies can override anything else. Yeah, you don't have to work for them. You don't have to be on their platform. But when you really have no other choice, and when they have franchise agreements with big companies like Comcast, and they don't allow smaller companies to get in, or they monopolize everything, then really you don't have a choice. You have to be on their platform. It's one of those things where it's like, I agree with you, but I kind of disagree with you, because there's, if it was a true free market, then that would be different. But when you have a few companies that gobble up everything else, and they have, they pass money underneath the table and stuff, to pass laws and stuff through the FCC, which, I used to work for a major ISP company. I've seen the BS from behind the scenes, just like when they throttled Netflix back in the day, through specific port forwarding and stuff. Yeah, then that's a problem. I mean, I understand, like, if someone's going in there and they're just, they're creating, if they're bullying, they're creating physical harm towards someone, but that's what the court systems are for. If someone feels like they've been blasted online or whatnot, defamation, then they can take them to court and they can sue them if they want to go that route.
I never had any problems with my T1 connection going into the website that I hosted. And this is for a company, right in the heart of downtown Seattle. I never had any problems with our fiber going out or hosting my own website. I've never had any throttling issues, and that's even with video conferencing and streaming. So I understand where you're coming from, but it's not the greatest argument for that. You know what I mean? You can still host your own free speech. All you do is you lease your fiber, and there you go. And you get your GoDaddy name for like $20 and for the rest of eternity.
Daddy.
Yeah. So I mean, Alex Jones getting kicked off of private platforms. I'm not shedding a tear. I mean, come on. It's not like he's really breaking news. He's giving his opinion, and he's giving a lot of stories along with it. But I mean, come on. the thing that he one of the things that was on the Jesse Ventura TV show, when he showed all the Tupperware coffins.
Yeah,
well,
I remember
that. Realized that there was 14,000 people that died in the hurricane in Puerto Rico. Well, that's what your Tupperware coffins are for. Your FEMA camps, well, look at the border. I mean, if you want to see what all these things are for, this is what they're for. And then they escalate it and they turn it into fear porn and use nothing but dude facts and bro science to try to sell it. And,
definitely a lot of fear porn, man. I agree with you.
And that's the problem. I mean, the thing is, like, with this stupid Pizzagate thing, there was no basement. There is no secret door. I mean, they've shown the blueprints of the place, and because of Alex Jones and his fear porn and lead-laced penis pills or whatever, somebody goes into a pizza shop and shoots it up. So I have absolutely no sympathy for Alex Jones.
He wasn't the only one talking about it, though, Rick.
Yeah, and I have no sympathy for those people either.
Right.
And that's
what problem. I'm trying to say is those people that took upon the action to do what they did that themselves. That
is an example of why hate speech is illegal. Going back to the original statement of, oh, well, this is illegal. The thing is it comes down to, and here's a Wiccan saying for everybody, and if it harm none, do as thou wilt. And what you need to do is drill down to how deep that actually goes. That's the thing. So think about some of the things you say, because, through evolution, you see birds develop plumage and everything to try to attract mates. What people don't understand is, if you will, plumage, think of mental plumage. If you come across somebody who's an undesirable, whether it's to your tribe or your culture or whatever, thank you, Mary. Exactly. Hate speech becomes lynching. It's just, do you understand what I mean? It's illegal. It's illegal because it leads to all the crap we've gone through. And
I
Alex
I
Jones
don't.
is just a fear porn peddler. Fuck that.
I agree with you on those points, Rick. I don't feel that hate speech has any room in our society whatsoever. Believe me, I don't. But the thing is when legislation starts telling us what we can say or what we can't say, and yes, I'm using some of the words of some of the people have been on the news, who've this is very interesting. I'm getting a no caller ID on my phone.
I'm telling you, weird shit is happening right now.
Yeah, Jerry just got kicked off of YouTube.
I got kicked off of Google. All my accounts got signed off of Google. I was typing in chat.
I'm
about the
surprised
that
this
again?
I was making a comment about why Alex Jones was really deplatformed,
I'm
and
not
boom,
kidding,
I got
guys.
shut down.
This is
I
really
mean-
freaking me out. Let's check this out. Seriously, no ID card. That's
Rick,
bizarre.
It's not, it's not real people. It's just the AI. Just ignore it.
Rick, I agree with you as far as like I'm not shedding a tear for Alex Jones. Yeah, he's belligerent, all this other stuff. But what I'm talking about are people who question things and they make videos questioning things. Why is that stuff censored? Why is that against terms of service? Like, for instance, like the Las Vegas shooting. I mean, why is it such an ordeal that people are discussing this and trying to do like independent investigations on it? You know, why is that such an issue on like YouTube?
I don't know about that. I do know some because I lived in Las Vegas for quite a while, and I know exactly where that happened. My ex-wife used to work at that property. The things that I don't know about the independent investigations and everything. I do know about overall media, and one of the things is like MGM. They're suing the victims. They're preemptively suing the victims that could potentially sue them. Yeah, and
it's a legal strategy.
Yeah, and what it is an attempt to push for like arbitration and things like that. But as you know, crap, I'm spacing on his name. But I have a few friends that still live in Vegas. And I'll ask them. One is an investigator. He's a private investigator. I'll talk to him about it. But there were some people that they're not. They're just trying to make a story. That's the thing. Like supposedly the security guard. It's like my ex-wife knows half the security guards there. You know, in fact, a lot of them came over from the Riviera where I used to work. I was on the IT staff for the Riviera.
But the question is, every time you do like a FOIA request, or even after your investigation is closed, everything is heavily redacted. I mean, if there's nothing going on, or if it is what it is, then why did they go to such great lengths to cover that
national security?
Well, yeah, I mean, everything could fall under national security. I mean, it's exactly. Like a blanket for everything.
Just like hate speech.
There's a lot of reasons why something could be redacted. I know when my dad and I were investigating Maury Island, and he did his FOIA, half of the Maury Island.
That was a great episode, by the way.
Thanks.
You can find that on the archives of Beyond the Strange.
There you go, yeah. But like easily half of that was redacted. My dad and I were trying to get the name of the passengers that they had going back to San Francisco. I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but if you can dig deep enough, you can go through another FOIA, and that's how we got the names of the two hitchhikers. It's just the trick is know how to use your FOIA.
Well, I would say I would kind of agree with you on that, but when you have researchers who have been in law enforcement for over 20 years, and don't seem to, I would imagine they would know how to do FOIA requests, and they get blocked. Or if they get anything, it's heavily redacted, or they have to upfront money or something like that. Then I would say that why does that happen? You know, is this just something where individual person in the government can say, well, we just don't want to get this information out.
Well, some of it could also be protecting victims. That's the other thing.
Yeah, I understand that. Redacting
It's also
names
victims'
and
rights and their addresses and stuff like that. So, I mean, you can still get that information through other means, but still, a lot of times, it is for that or something that could potentially lead to something else. And they're trying to cover up loopholes that like my dad and I would find to
Gentlemen, I'm
get
going
what
to
we're
go
looking
ahead.
for.
Okay. I'm reading something here really quick. I was going to ask Suzanne if she wants to chime in, but I'm not sure if Suzanne, do you want to unmute and see if we can hear you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Would you like to chime in, and do you have any comments about anything we've been talking about as far as Alex Jones or First Amendment rights, or social media platforms that are doing this kind of thing, internet in general? Go ahead.
I have several thoughts, but I agree with Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
We always seem to be in alignment with our agreements. So, I don't know. I think a lot of it is hyped up, but I think we all need to be aware of what's going on and be vigilant about, just making sure that our free speech is not going to be taken away. I can't stand all this hate speech and come on. Why can't we all be adults?
Community standards.
Yeah, can we fucking be adults, please? You listen to the Scanner, Sacramento, every goddamn full moon, every Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. It's 2:42. People are beating the shit out of each other. Our cops are babysitters. It's ridiculous. So I think everybody needs to fucking grow up. Sorry.
I think also
We're on
part of it-
YouTube. I'll bleep that out later.
Oh, what?
I think also part of it might
No
be
F words?
from
Pussy.
I know.
might be from the culture that a person is from. For example, one of my grandfathers was very racist, and yeah, he did have a white robe. Full disclosure. I had a uncle. Yeah, he was a white robe too. Okay, that's one thing. So I'm aware of it from that aspect. I grew up in an all Latino neighborhood. I've seen the other side of the fence. So that's where I'm coming from. I've seen both sides of the fence. I had my grandfather asking, my parents why I didn't have any white friends. So that's where I'm coming from when it comes to the hate speech. So you understand.
Yeah.
And also, in a lot of different medias and stuff like that, I see the dog whistles that I saw growing up as a kid. And, maybe that's why I have a little more of a, my finger on the pulse of it. But, that's where I'm coming from. That's what I've seen. And like I said, I've seen both sides of the fence.
There sure is a lot of white hate speech, but we can't talk about that.
Yeah, there's that too. It's horrible. I mean,
we
Rick,
can talk about it.
We can talk about anything.
No,
but we could be grown up about it as well.
Community, right? If you could be grown up about it. But I get where Rick is coming from because I grew up on a ranch. The high school I went to, it was mostly Latino kids. So, I come from a farming community. But, they were there, they were here. A lot of those families were here long before white people were here. So, I mean, I see both sides of the fence too. I just wish we could come to a middle path where we could be adults and we could say, like I have a friend who's Mexican, and that's white lady, blah blah blah, and I would say, oh, this Mexican lady. Like, it was nothing against the other person, and we always knew that. Like, it was just a frame of who that person was, a description. That's it. So it doesn't always have to be negative, I guess.
Yeah, but Mexican, and here's something else that I see, especially because I was born and raised in northern central California, and a lot of those,
Yeah, this
a
is
lot of
where
the
it was
white,
in Modesto
yeah,
or around
yeah,
Modesto.
yeah, I was born in Turlock.
Oh, there you go.
Yep,
Well, we
I
live
lived
in
in
the same
Modesto as well.
place.
Yeah, I forgot to
But
mention that.
but you see, a lot of white people think that Mexican is a dirty word. No, Mexican is a person from Mexico.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's when you use other words, and Dave, you're,
Well, of
as far
course.
as I can see on the pictures here, Dave's the only person that can actually use these words. But you know what I'm talking about, Dave. I know you've heard them.
Oh yeah.
You know, my friend Francisco's heard them. You know,
Worse than like taco bender, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sure
Which
I've
one?
heard. I've heard them.
Yeah, but the thing is calling, saying, oh yeah, this person is Mexican. That means this person is a person from Mexico. It's like saying this
Right.
person's German, this person's Italian. But when you say like effing Mexican, well, that's different. You have it in a different context. You know what I mean?
Totally true.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, Mexican isn't a bad word. You say, oh, that Mexican lady cut me off in traffic. Well, she more than likely, depending where you're at, she could be from Mexico. She cut you off. And like I explained to a friend of mine who was from Chile, he was racist against Mexicans, and one of the things he said, he's pissed off. He's like, "Why does everybody think I'm a Mexican?" I'm like, "Well, in the United States, if you're in, the Southwest area, including California, you're Mexican. If you're over like in Florida and stuff like that, you're Cuban. If you're in New York, you're Puerto Rican." And it's like, well, if you're from Seattle, I'm like, you're a Canadian with a tan. But nobody's going to think that you're Chilean because nobody thinks, oh, this dude's Chilean, this dude's Peruvian.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's a catch-all.
And they all look very different. It's very easy to spot the difference.
Well, also like with Central Americans from higher altitudes, the nose, the Incan nose. My friend Francisco, he's Colombian. Yeah, he has that arch, that Colombian arch in his nose. But most people don't think that. They just go brown paper bag test, lighter than or darker than.
Right.
That's pretty much how they look at it.
I mean, I completely agree with you. It's all about context. I mean, when I ran a gaming server online and people come in and start, if someone was from like Venezuela or if someone was from Mexico or not, they were just, people get mad and say stupid Mexicans. And I would just ban them because they were using it as a derogatory term.
In Warcraft, it tended to be because the players weren't as good as some of the other players.
Yeah, or they would use it like that. So,
but I think part of it is also because the internet in Mexico isn't really all that great.
Holy crap! We got someone in the chat room who just said, "Hola, saludos de Chile."
Oh, hey!
Right on.
Yes, hola,
Matthias.
My bad.
Gracias. Yeah.
And I completely agree with you. Like, hate speech should definitely be censored and banned and all that stuff. But what the question is, when does that become a blanket to kind of phase out anyone that has any type of opposing viewpoints, and that's not related to hate speech, but they have a controversial opposing viewpoint. I mean, isn't that what creates a healthy society? Is when you have people that debate each other over topics, because if everyone is on one side and you kind of disrupt that balance, you don't have someone that comes in and say, hey, well, what about, for instance, if something happens in the country and someone says, hey, I got more information, what about this, what if it's this, what if it's that? Like, if you don't hear that from their viewpoint and you censor that, then no one's the wiser. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think go ahead.
I had a similar situation like this when I was talking to a friend of mine who's in Texas, and because my family were looking at moving out of the country, and I talked to him about the countries that we're looking at. Oh, you gotta be afraid, watch out for those no zones. It's like, what? All these no zones where it's like Sharia law and all this other crap. And I'm like, what websites are you getting this from, bro? Sends it over to me. I'm like, okay. Because, my wife, she has friends in Germany just right outside of Frankfurt. There aren't any no zones there. Ireland, no, there aren't any no zones. UK, no. Scotland, my family lives there, no. So these countries, there's no zones. So is it fair to have this person pushing that there are these Muslim no zones that, if you think about it, no local, let alone county or state or federal government would allow? I mean, nobody in their right mind would allow that. See, the thing is people are already going to echo chambers, and they're not listening to other people's point of views. And when somebody who actually does know what they're talking about actually says, well, no, this is actually what's going on, well, then that person is like a hater or a debunker or brainwashed or whatever. And that's where things like Alex Jones is dangerous. It's not just Alex Jones. When you have some folks who are looking for something. In fact, I saw an interesting interview with a ex-neo-Nazi. He talked about the way that they're able to basically nudge these people into a certain direction. So that's where I see the danger in Alex Jones, because I've seen the rhetoric. That's that's what I've studied. That's the other thing I've done besides IT is linguistics and studying that type of stuff.
Rick, I'm going to try something real quick. Hang on one moment, my friend. Okay, well, never mind. Actually, you just did it for me, and there's something going on with your headset. There's a lot of static on it for some reason.
But I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from, but I would say, isn't it up to us? Isn't it the responsibility of the person to do their own due diligence, to do their own research, instead of relying on other individuals talking about it? I mean, I think it's just we've become so complacent on everything, and people just lazy. I mean, just pure laziness, to be honest.
Well, I mean, like, even when somebody, this isn't a political thing, okay, just to get everybody out, but when you're voting, and you're voting for president, you notice how a president, when they're nominated and all that stuff in the running, they don't talk about who they're going to put in the cabinet, not really, and nobody really chases down what these cabinet members do, who they're paid off, I mean, who their donors are. I'm sorry, my little Freudian slip there. But people don't research. And then when you go through and you see, oh, well, this guy who's now in charge of this department used to work for the people that were getting regulated. You have situations like that, and people don't dig deeper. What they look for is confirmation bias. And they don't feel like digging any deeper. They just go, okay, good enough. You told me what I want to hear. Okay, done.
Really quick, I want to touch on something, and I need Jerry's help with this. Jerry, that one gentleman on YouTube, he started sharing a video. He wanted to go viral because his channel was taken off the air, and there was no hate speech in his videos. You remember it was somebody that he said he wanted to go, please make this viral.
I don't remember.
It was oh my god.
But here's the thing people don't realize about YouTube channels getting shut down. Any one of you listening can go to YouTube and click report this video that you're watching right now as hate speech or offending or whatever. And if enough people do that, they shut the channel down. It's just an automatic thing built into YouTube.
Yeah. And and again, we're using their service. We understand that that's very possible that can happen anytime, unfortunately. But what going back to what Suzanne said, and what some of us have already said, that let's just all be grown-ups about this shit. Everyone should be responsible for what they say. Yeah, that's my opinion, but I mean, I think a lot of us share that same opinion. Is own up to what you're saying, be responsible. if it's hate speech, it's hate speech. Don't say it. Don't just don't do it. Don't say it. And if it means that you're going to get clicks and this and that, then you don't need to be on that kind of shit, that station, or that platform or whatever. So it's all up to the individual. That's how I see it, unfortunately. But yeah, it does send an alert when shit like that starts happening, when people get kicked off. But in Alex Jones's case, everyone has an opinion, and that's where it's going to be. No one's going to be all the way to the left or all the way to the right, and that's just where it is. Guys, we got to close up. We got to get going here. Really quick, Jerry, is there anything you'd like to plug, my friend?
No, I'm good.
You're good. Leo, do you want to plug anything?
Yeah, I mean, you can find all the stuff I do at houseforthevideostore.com, and it has links to YouTube and all the social media sites.
Right on. And we are expecting to have you come to Shadow Travelers as well.
Yeah, I want to talk to my film guys, and I respect their opinion and their if they don't want to join it, then I probably won't happen. It's got to be it's a democracy.
Right. Yeah. Well,
I'll make sure everyone's on board. I don't think they'll have a problem with it, but I just want to respect their opinion about it first.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And that's the way. That's definitely the way to be. That's the way we are, and we vote accordingly. Definitely amongst our group. Suzanne, anything you'd like to share or plug before we go?
Next Monday. That's
nice.
about it. I'm going to do
on.
an interview with Nish, and I believe Trisha's going to do it too. We're going to have Levette on. We had to reschedule. It was going to be a few days ago. So that should be really interesting. Everybody should check out her channel.
It's going to be a front hole fest.
It is. But get this, and I wanted to say this earlier with the Ring of Fire and stuff. So yes. Levette does, her channel is about alchemy and the Zodiac, the real Zodiac. And she uses stellarium. Oh, she's such an interesting lady. She's got so much. She's Native American and has Native American in her, but she just has like all this wisdom and just 50 years of study behind her. And anyway, I could go on and on, but she said in 2020 that Saturn and Jupiter are going to conjunct, and that is a lot of what's going on planet-wise. So I can't remember exactly what day, but it's
interesting.
Not to mention the eclipse on all the eclipses we've just had.
Yes, exactly. So she'll walk you through like what's going on. All the planets that have been in retrograde. Just there's been crazy stuff. Not crazy, but just like if you look at what's going on in the heavens, that's or wherever.
We all did look to the sky at one point.
Yeah. So anyway, but you can find the information, and what she's saying makes a lot of sense. So I'm like, buckle up for 2020.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Leo, did you want to plug something really quick? Or?
No, I was going to say like that's sort of what the term as above, so below comes from, is because the astrological planets and everything have a direct effect and impact on what happens here.
Oh yeah, that's right. And finally, Mr. Rick Sennett, thank you again for joining us tonight. And by the way, I just want to mention to everyone out there that Rick is a researcher, and he's a Bigfoot hunter in his own right. He's done a lot of research, of course, with his father's, not just Bigfoot, but UFOs and paranormal in general. So definitely, Rick, if you like to point out to anything that you would like anyone to check out?
Well, Alex Mastroda's book, The Presence, and
very good book.
Exploration into the Paranormal. I guess I'm supposed to plug my own stuff, but
it's all good, man. Whatever you want.
Wanted to plug Alex. He's a good guy. He approaches everything from a pretty scientific, what can I prove in court type of a thing, which is a little more of shifts, strange happening, the investigation field teams approach, because yeah, we can believe it, and that's all great. But the thing is we're trying to prove the existence of something. So if we got nothing but a story, well, we got a story. Back to this, back to the drawing board.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing really to plug. I'm actually going back to school for a few things because I'm absolutely
Right.
sick of IT. And yeah, so that's going to cut back on my investigations. Plus, also, like I was telling you about, I have my music projects that I'm working on. AFK All Stars is
Nice.
our little foray into an internet band. The idea came to me when I got fiber piped into my house, 150 megabits, synchronous. So yeah, I got the bandwidth,
jealous.
so I'm going to rock it.
Right on.
But yeah, it's a garage jazz project.
Hey Rick, are you going to CryptidCon in a couple weeks?
No, I'm going back to school, getting the kids ready to go back to school.
All right.
My oldest, he's finally in his senior year, and yeah, I want to make sure that he's on top of it. Then I got the 8-year-old and the 6-year-old that I have to chase after as well. As going back to school and learning 3 languages.
There you go,
man. For your
man.
brain, it's good for you.
Absolutely.
So we will have a drink for you when we're there.
Oh, cool. Where is it at?
Frankfort, Kentucky.
Frankfurt. I live in Seattle, Washington area, so I'm definitely.
It's a long drive.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Too cold to pack the bikes right now. So.
Well, hey, thanks again, man, and everyone for joining us tonight. And I especially want to thank everyone in the chat. You guys really rocked tonight. Definitely rocked the chat, and everyone watching and listening. Please remember, subscribe, like, comment. Even if you wanted to say whatever's on your mind, go for it, man. I'm not turning off the comments. Everyone's, I believe, is entitled to their opinion. I do say try to be nice. I'd appreciate that, but definitely get the word out. The show is going to be rocking and rolling towards Halloween. We have a very big Halloween month coming up. We have Arla Ventura that's coming back. I've also talked to David Omen from the Omen House, expecting him to be on the show this October. I have L.M. Labat, who is a graphic artist and author, and in her own right, she's an intuitive, and she's definitely got a lot of horror to talk about. So some of those shows are going to be awesome. And I also have a couple of other surprises for you coming down the line. So remember, everyone, you definitely want to subscribe and you want to set your alerts. So with that, I just want to say thank you all. Have a great night. Stay safe, stay strange, and Asta, everyone. Have a good night. See you later.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone in the chat. Big kiss.
Bye-bye.